Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Lisa's Coloring Corner. Today I would like to introduce yet one more way to come up with some color palettes, and then I am going to also show you one more system that I have discovered to pick the correct marker or pencil to the color palette that you want to use. Now, this particular system will work with any marker, any pencil, any type of coloring medium that you have that you would like to match up with some color palettes. This is called the Color Catalog, and it is by Sarah Renae Clark. And in this particular pack, she has 250 different palettes. I will leave a link to her site where you can purchase this color catalog. I bought it when it first came out, so I got it at like half price. It is now $29. But what you get with this is both the printable version, which I did. I printed everything out, and I printed them double-sided so that I wouldn't use quite as much paper and it wouldn't be quite so thick. But you also get a digital version of it, which is really awesome how you can maneuver through this color catalog to very quickly find the type of color palette that you want. And I will show you both versions. So this is the printed version. I have not gotten it into a binder as of yet, because what I am doing, and this is a project that has been sitting for a long time that I have not gotten back to, is first it gives you an introduction. Now I am using this color palette set to figure out my Copics, my Prismacolor, my Polychromos, and my Holbeins. So I am working out, and that's what's taking me so long, all the four main coloring mediums that I use. But again, you can use any one or any of your coloring mediums, and I'll show you how to do that. So after the instructions, or after the introduction, you get some instructions. Let me bring you down a little bit so that you can see kind of what I'm talking about. Here it talks about, this is the printable version. For full navigation and browsing abilities, you can also download the interactive version and save it to your computer, phone, or tablet. And again, I'm going to show you that on my iPad. So this shows you what each color palette looks like. There is color matching on the bottom, and I will go through that with you. Talks about the author, Sarah Renae Clark. Photo credits, she just has all of that in there. So here, first of all, you browse by the collections. Here is the very first color palette, and you can see it's a bright picture, a nice spring picture of a butterfly on a flower. Here she has split out the colors, the main colors anyhow, that are included in this particular picture. She gives you some keywords over on the left side. For instance, this one uses the keywords of bright, spring, flowers, insects, and nature. Those will come more into play when we look at the digital version on the iPad. She also gives you the names of the colors that are associated in this picture, and she does state in the introduction, these are not exact names for these. She gave you general names for each of these colors, because again, you know that the color names are going to be different depending upon the color medium that you're using. So these are just general names of colors. Then down on the bottom, she gives you each color down here and room to write if you want to match up a certain color to your color medium. So again, I am listing my Copics, I'm listing my Prismacolors, and I am listing my Polychromos, and then on the bottom I'm listing my Holbeins. And so if I bring you in a little closer, you can see where I have my Copic listed here. Then I have my Prismacolor here and my Polychromos. I have not gotten through my Holbeins yet. I'm still actually working on the Prismacolor. I have maybe 100 or so figured out for my Prismacolors. But if you will notice, we have the hex value, we have the RGB value for each color, and we have the CMYK value. If you look back on my previous video explaining or showing some color palette books, and then a real neat app that I introduced in that video, it explains in there how you can use that app with specifically the hex value, which is much easier if you happen to have a hex value. Otherwise, it also uses the RGB, where you would type in each one of these 3 values. As you can see, it would be much easier just to type in the hex value. It will give you this color, and what's neat about it is you can then pick whether you want to match that color to, say, Copic or Prismacolor or Polychromos. The only one that I don't think they have in there is the Holbeins, now that I think about it. But they have a whole bunch in that app of different markers and different colored pencils. So again, look back at my previous video, and if I think of it, I will link that video down below. So what is neat again about this workbook is she does give us the hex value, and again I explained that in the previous video and how you can use it with that app. So let me bring you back out a little. Okay, so that's the very first color palette that she goes through. Then you can see she just goes through hundreds and hundreds of color palettes. Again, set up the exact same way. And as you can see, I do have my Copic listed. I did make it through all of my Copics, but not all the Prismacolor or Polychromos. Didn't even start the Holbeins. So after, I think it was close to 100, yeah, starting, you know, in here, I don't have any of my Prismacolor, Polychromos, or Holbeins figured out yet. So again, this is a work in progress for me. But, oh, she has so many pretty color palettes in here, you know, to the picture. So, you know, if you're doing some pretty flowers and stuff, wouldn't that be pretty to do? I love the color palettes that she has in here. And I thought at one time was talking about adding to this. I have not seen it out there yet, but let me show you the digital version and what you can do with the digital version of it. And I think this is so neat. So I'm going to bring it up on my iPad. So this is now the digital version. There are a number of different ways that you can browse through these color palettes. So rather than having the printed version where, you know, let's say I want something with spring flowers in it, you know, with the printed version, you're going to have to, you know, just kind of glance through all the sheets. Here you can browse by colors. And let's say, yeah, we want to pick something with a really pretty orchid color. Let me bring you down. Okay, so all you do is you would tap on orchid. Right here, it is going to bring you up which palettes include the word orchid. So let's say we think, oh, I really like that one. It'll automatically bring you up to that color palette. So we can see it's palette 187. Sorry. 187, and of course in this version I'm not going to have mine listed down here as far as what Copic it is, what Prismacolor or Polychromos, but I know it's 187, so I can very quickly look through my printed version and I can find that particular palette. I'll immediately know what Copics I would need to use in this for, you know, coloring a picture like this, what Polychromos, what Prismacolor, what Holbein. Depending on what color medium you're using, you can include those down below. So it's, like I said, you can use whatever, you know, you can match up whatever color medium that you happen to use, be it markers, be it pencil, be it, you know, watercolor, you know, type mediums. So the buttons up on top. Okay, and this is where it gets really handy having the digital version. Home, as the name implies, is going to take you right back to the beginning. Let's say I want to browse by keyword. Okay, I want to find a bunch of pretty flowers. It's going to bring you up all of the flower color palettes. Let's pick out a pretty purple. And here it brings up the purple color palette. Again, it's going to give you your keywords. It's going to give the colors that correspond to the colors either on the side or underneath. And then down here again is, I keep touching the screen, is going to be the colors themselves with the color values. Got to keep my finger up on top of the iPad. So again, you have your hex value, RGB, your CMYK. If you don't know what those codes stand for, don't worry about it. You can just match it up best you can, and I'm going to show you an easy way to do that. So again, we can go back home, or you can click on this little color wheel, and it's going to take you right to the browse by color option. So let's say, oh, we want to look at some dark teals. Here gives you all the dark teal color palettes. Say I like this one. Isn't that pretty? Okay, so that's what the color palette does, or this round circle color wheel. Then we have the magnifying glass, and as we all know, that is kind of meaning indicative of a search feature. Now we can browse by keywords, and that's why she gives you those keywords on each sheet. Let's say I want to look at some Christmas palettes. Here are all of the Christmas palettes. Let's say I like that one. Isn't that pretty? So again, set up the exact same way. Let's go back to the search. Let's browse through, and let's say we want to find some pretty pastels. And down here then are your pastels, different color palettes. Isn't that one pretty? I love that one. Okay, then the last feature up here is this, looks like some little file folders stacked. If you click on that, you can then browse by collections. And this is really neat because here's like 20 color palettes inspired by Valentine's Day. And then you can browse by this collection, which is, looks like Valentine's Day palettes. Or you can look by summer, beautiful landscapes. Let's look at landscapes. Okay. Or let's say, yeah, Christmas. Or she does have the Pantones. Every year Pantone comes out with their colors of the year. So she has Pantone color palettes in here too. Let's look at the volume 1 color Pantone, or color palettes inspired by the Pantone spring color trends. And we can see, look at these beautiful tulips. Okay, so let's go back home. Again, here you can browse by the colors, by the keywords. So it does similar to what's up here. These are just shortcuts for you. Or by the collections. Okay, which is the same as this icon up here. So she really makes it easy for you to maneuver through the digital version of this. If you look down on the bottom, if you remember them first few pages in the printed version, here is the introduction. Here is the instructions in how to navigate finding a palette. You can browse by colors, keywords, collections. And then here it describes, she goes right through and she talks about the color palettes themselves and the color matching. Okay, she talks about the hex numbers, RGBs, CMYKs, and that you can also print these, use the blank boxes to match up your own colors for your color mediums. Okay, so if we go back home, then we have the about, and it just talks about the author, Sarah, and then the credits and things like that. So isn't that neat? I thought it was really another really cool way to show you some color palettes to give you some inspiration for your coloring. So again, we have the digital version, which is awesome, and then the printable version, which you get both versions when you purchase this color catalog. And I will leave a link down below where you can purchase this color catalog from, in case you are interested. Now, I did indicate that I had yet another system to be able to match up your colors. If you are, say, coloring with Prismacolor or Polychromos, whatever, Copics. That's originally what I did this for, was to match up some Copics. And that's what this system that I'm going to show you was originally designed for, was for Copics. And I'm going to, having problems here. I'm going to leave a link to this system down below also. This is what the original sheet looks like. It is called the Copic Color Matching Chart. And what you do is you make copies of this for however many sheets you need for your particular color medium that you are going to be creating these cards for. After you make your copies, save this one as your master. And you can, you know, create a set for however many different colored pencils you want to, or markers, or whatever. And that's why I said you can use this color matching system for whatever color system you have, or whatever color medium you have, you know, from your Copics all the way down to your Crayola and you know, your other budget-friendly mediums. So after you make your copies, you will cut this in half. Then you will color in each of these squares with all the different colors of the color medium that you are choosing for this particular set of charts. I just scribbled out Copic and I wrote, you know, whatever medium I was working with. When you are done coloring in all of the different colors and you write down the number or let me zoom you in a little. You write in the name or number of that particular color so that you know what that color is. You are then going to take your handy dandy little standard paper punch and you are going to make a hole. You're going to punch out where these little circles are. And there's a reason for that. And with having this cut in half, you will be able to reach all the circles when you punch out your circles. Okay, does that make sense so far? Okay, after you have that all made, you will have however many, you know, half sheets of paper that you need for that particular color medium. And this is what it is. Let me show you the Copics, because that's what I originally started this with. It's what I did it for. Let's get these out of the way. And this is what my Copic chart looks like. After I was done coloring these all in, labeling them, hole punching them, I then laminated mine so that they're, you know, they won't get all bent up and whatnot. So this is all my Copics. And then, of course, I have the label here for each color. Specifies, you know, I didn't write the color name out. I just wrote the number, the alphanumeric code. But like I said, you have all your colors. So I hole punched it up in the corner and just put a little ring clip up here. So I have my Copics. I have my Prismacolors made out. And again, I just put the color number on mine. There's not a real long line here, so I just decided the number was sufficient. Then I also made one for my polychromos. So you have one page, one, sheet for all of those colors. And then I did make one for my Holbeins. I figured those are going to be the 4 probably most used color mediums that I would be using when I'm trying to match up some colors. Okay, now how do you use these? Let's go with the most common, which would be the Prismacolor. And let's get out one of these color palettes. Now, because these have the hex and the values listed here, if you have that app that I was talking about in that previous video, you wouldn't have to match them up manually. You can use the app, and the app is going to tell you exactly what Copic you would have to use, what Prismacolor, what polychromos. So again, if you have the values, that's fine. But let's say we just have a picture and you don't have that app, because that app also, you can take a picture of this, bring it into that app, and again, it'll tell you exactly what colors you would need in Copic or Prismacolor or whatnot. Let's say you didn't have that app. I want to know what colors are in this bird. Okay, so let me move that. So yeah, let's say we want to find out a few of these blues in Prismacolor. We would take our charts here, and because it's an old artist trick that if you have a hole in the middle of here, when you place this down on your picture, you're going to be able to much easier. Now, that one looks like it would match up pretty well. Let's bring you down a little more. Okay, so 103 looks like it would match at least one of these. It's a little bit dark over there, but it matches like right here, pretty close. So I would get out pencil 103. Now let's look at some more of our blues, because we want to get maybe this darker blue. Oh yeah, 906 matches pretty good. Or let's say we want to find out these yellows up here. So we'll flip back to the yellows. Now again, you do not have to put yours on, a ring binder or, one of these rings. I just like to, because I can store them nicer that way. So let's get out the yellows. And let's see what matches this, or orange. In this case, it's going to be kind of an orangish color. Let's see what would match with this. Let's see. Well, I think one of them would be 1034. Pretty close. Maybe some of the lighter yellow. And I'm just doing this quickly, so I would think it kind of matches 917. Okay, so that is how you would use these. And again, it doesn't take an app. You don't have to have your phone out. And for those of you that don't have mobile devices and can't get that app, this is a really nice manual way of trying to match up some colors. If you are trying to figure out, okay, what color would that be in the, Prismacolor? What color would that be in polychromos, etc., etc. So let's bring you back out. I'm doing this manually again because I used my iPad, my good iPad, to show you the digital version, so I'm using my old iPad for my screen to see where I'm at, so I can't zoom in and out like I can when I use my good iPad, so you'll have to kind of bear with me. So that is this system in a nutshell. Just wanted to come on quick and show you this color catalog, which again, I think is awesome. So many beautiful color palettes to pick from. And of course, the digital version of that. And then our matching system. I will, again, I don't know if I mentioned, I will leave a link to where you can find these also. If you want to print them out, there's not a charge for these. They are free. And again, you will just make however many copies of this master sheet once you get it printed out, and create however many you want to. Now, you will, if you are going to laminate them, make sure you laminate them after you cut them apart, because if you laminate it when it's still one sheet, and you know, I laminated mine before, of course, I punched them out, because you're kind of defeating the purpose of punching out all your holes if you're going to laminate it then. So make sure you laminate it before you punch out all the holes, after you cut these apart, because otherwise, if you cut them apart after you laminate, you're going to have an open edge. So again, make sure you cut them apart. Do not hole punch until after you're done laminating. And then you will be able to cut your cards apart after laminating. And I just used a paper cutter, and it worked real well. So after laminating, then you can go ahead and punch out all of your holes. So I hope that all kind of made sense. And like I said, for this matching system, you can use any color medium that you have. It doesn't have to be the top, you know, brands like that in the app itself. That's more automated. You would have to have one of the color mediums that are specifically in that app. Whereas this manual system, you can make these cards for anything. So again, I hope this all kind of made sense to you, and that you kind of found it interesting. I just thought it was another neat way of getting some color palettes together, giving you some idea of what to color in your pictures. I know some of us have, you know, some problems here and there of trying to decide what colors to use for this. Like in Johanna Basford's, with all of the flowers, all of the foliage, this would be great to give you some ideas of, like here, great for trees. You know, it would just really be a help to you. If you like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe if you are new to my channel. I hope everybody is having a great day, and as always, happy coloring. Bye, guys.